Yeah, this is Eddie Harris Les McCann live at the Montreux Jazz Festival in Switzerland in 1971. Great piece. Come on around this way. I'm gonna I'll show you where to stand, and then I'm gonna turn off the room lights so you can see this image. This is a Camera Obscura. I just put a hole in my window. I got a little lens on there now. I'll show you how it works once I turn off the light with just a pinhole. Can you get that image? Do you? And if I focus it a little bit, of course we've lost the sun. It's not quite as bright as it was a little while ago. But that's the building across the hall. That is the parking lot in back of us, back of the complex I'm in. And as you can see, it's nothing but a hole in the window here. And if I put a little metal washer there, I ought to be able to also get an image. That's just a hole, and this is what Al Hazan discovered 1,000 years ago. Okay, you can see the image that's formed by just a hole. If I switch that hole and put my lens back in, of course, and this is just a cheap little magnifying glass lens, you know, a biconvex lens. Well, that will focus the image. Of course, now I have to worry about my focal length. And you want me to run outside? Let me run outside. And I'm going to show up right about there. Can you see that image? Is it a decent image? Or is it too dim? All right, I'm going to go outside, and I will. You'll be able to see me in the camera. You'll be able to see me on the screen. I'm just going to jump up and down and give you a little bit of time to focus in on it. So. These are actually paper negatives rather than using film. If I want to go really big, I just can't get film, you know, much bigger than 22 by 30, 34. But of course, you can get paper and rolls. These are some portraits I did, and I wax them often. That's just the negative. You'll notice if I hold it up to the light, you know, they look very dense, but of course, to get enough of a tonal range, you really got to print the paper negative very dark. And then I wax them. And that's something that, that Fox Talbot did with his negatives 160 years ago. He was, of course, doing paper negatives. And by, you know, studying the history of photography, I learned that and applied it to what I was doing. It makes it a lot easier to print these, especially if I'm going to print them outside as cyanotypes or as platinum or palladium prints. It takes a lot of sun, and I can only do it in the summertime. And I can cut my my exposure time in half by waxing the paper. There's another one. Again, it looks rather dark. If I hold it up to the light, it has a great tonal range. Of course, these aren't the biggest I've done. In fact, I've done these negatives up to 6 feet tall. There's one in this book, The Art of Enhanced Photography. I've been included in this. I'm not thrilled with the title because I really don't consider my work enhanced. It's idiosyncratic, I think. This is by Rockport Press. It's a beautiful book, and they did a great job with it. But this image right here, this is down in a friend who is a collector, has it down in Brooklyn in a brownstone, because it's such a huge piece from the bottom to the top. It's about 6 feet, a little over 6 feet tall. And that was done in the Camera Obscura using a very large paper negative. And of course I've worked into that, I painted into it. I see there's a couple other pages of images. Again, these were both shot in the Camera Obscura. And this is a studio. This is when it was a little cleaner, and this is a great camera. This is an old. It's a about 1910 to 1915, that vintage Century View camera. Actually, it could be a few years earlier. It could be before Kodak actually bought Century. And this was owned and sold to me by one of the oldest established studios in Bridgeport, Brignolia Studio. Ann is in her 70s. Her father had bought this camera, and she's thinking of closing up, and she sold me the camera. This is a camera 20 by 24 that I had built myself. Let me take you back to my darkroom. I want to show it to you. It's a bit of a mess, so you'll have to excuse it. Well, it's always a mess. In fact, it's an incredible mess. But, because I do some very funky stuff back here. Now, the nicest piece of equipment actually is my sink. I got this out of a place in Bridgeport. I actually helped them move out years ago, a place called Metro Photo Engraving. It was, originally the sink was 14 foot long. I cut it down to 11 foot, 11 feet by 5 foot, all stainless steel. It's a gorgeous sink. And of course, to do big negatives, it helps to have a big sink. I can just lay them out in here. I can sponge them. I can do them in the trays. I actually have created troughs that are 5 feet long, and I can use less chemicals. I can actually dip and dunk. This enlarger here is a gorgeous one. This is an old color separation enlarger called the Berkey Graphic Master. It'll take a negative that's up to 8 by 10, got a beautiful glass negative carrier. It's just an amazing monster. I got this for free because it was optical separation was eliminated when computers came along, and technicians that earned a quarter the amount of money could do the job in tenth the time that an old optical separator could do. So they just threw these things out. This is a beauty. My 4x5 enlargers, I have both a Bessler and an Omega, and an Agfa stat camera, which is that's a Reaper Master 1600. Again, when computers came along, they stopped using those to do their stats, and I was able to get this for nothing. Beautiful piece of equipment that cost about 15 grand when it was first sold. So I have a nicely equipped darkroom, even if it is a bit of a mess. I actually put this all together. This was just a big empty space when I moved in here. All of these walls I built in. So I built in a little changing room that also allows me to come in and out with a light trap. And on this side, I built a drying cabinet into the wall here with a fan and a heater in it. And put a huge glass window in there so that I can see my film when it's drying.